That hair on the back of your neck feeling, when you know something isn't quite right. Maybe it happens when you hear footsteps behind you on a dark night, or when your phone rings at 2 in the morning. For Laura Sugden, the feeling came when she and her boyfriend got home from a date on January 12, 2018.
When I opened the door, I had a feeling that somebody was in my house, but it wasn't a feeling that somebody was in my house, it was a feeling that he was in my house, and I'm not really sure why I felt like that.
Laura Sugden and Shane Gilmer moved to the tiny hamlet of Southburn in East Yorkshire because it seemed like a quiet and peaceful place to raise Laura's daughter, Isabelle. They loved their semi-detached home and even got along with their neighbor, Anthony Lawrence, who lived into the adjoining residence. Although he seemed like a bit of a loner, Lawrence was polite and occasionally walked the couple's dogs as a favor. Then things started to go downhill. 55-year-old Lawrence grew and smoked pot in his residence. Because the homes had an adjoining wall, the fumes would come through in the room of 3-year-old Isabelle, triggering her asthma. Sugden complained to her landlord about the marijuana, which is illegal to grow or possess in the UK. Nothing changed. Sugden and Gilmer switched rooms with Isabelle, which helped with her asthma but didn't completely solve the problem. Then on January 13, 2017, there was a more disturbing incident.
And he was playing loud music till about 11:30, 12:15. And Shane decided to go around and just ask him to turn it down. At that point, Shane just went round the back. I stayed in the property because I'd never had any problems with him before. And then I heard a load of commotion outside. So I went outside and he basically had an axe and said that he was going to kill us.
Though at first they tried to forget about the incident, the couple eventually called the police, who said it was their word against their neighbors. Nothing was done, and Lawrence continued to act erratically. His marijuana use continued to cause issues, and he became increasingly hostile. Once he even dumped a load of manure into Sugden's gardens. Over the course of a year, Sugden and Gilmer made 4 calls to the police over their neighbor's behavior. Finally, their landlord agreed to talk to Lawrence, and she was so spooked by his weird behavior that he was served with an eviction notice. Sugden and Gilmer could finally relax. What the couple didn't know is that Anthony Lawrence knew exactly who was responsible for his eviction. For the past year, he had been listening to the couple's conversations. He had attached a listening device to the adjoining wall and had been listening in on their most private moments.
How did that make you feel?
Sick. Yeah. To think that, there'll be a lot of conversations that me and Shane had, which, you have in the privacy of your own home that, we were completely unaware, but obviously the reporting of the cannabis to the police and the letting agent, he would have heard all that.
January 12, 2018. It is 1 year to the day since the axe-waving incident, and Laura Sugden is 5 months pregnant. She and Shane Gilmer enjoy a night out at the Gino de Campos restaurant in nearby Hull.
I just felt really unsettled that week. And when we went out on the Friday, I didn't really want to go. But we did. But when I came back, obviously, I noticed the mark on my carpet. When I opened the door, I had a feeling that somebody was in my house, but it wasn't a feeling that somebody was in my house, it was a feeling that he was in my house, and I'm not really sure why I felt like that, but ever since the axe incident, exactly a year to this happening, I just felt on edge.
The hair on the back of her neck standing up, Laura pushes open the door to her daughter's bedroom. Luckily, the now 4-year-old Isabelle is away staying with family, which probably saves her life. Because there, standing in the room, is Anthony Lawrence, and he is holding a loaded crossbow. Laura yells a warning to Shane, who is still behind her on the stairs.
He pushed me back into my bedroom and pushed me onto my bed. Then he had, obviously Shane had got to the top of the stairs by this point, so he went onto the landing to Shane, and I managed to get my telephone out of my pocket and call 999 and put my telephone back in my pocket before he came back into the room.
Because Lawrence has a crossbow rather than a gun, Laura doesn't hear the weapon go off outside of the room. She has no way of knowing that her partner Shane has been shot. The crossbow bolt has gone through his right forearm and into his abdomen. It strikes both his liver and kidney before stopping in his spine. The devoted partner and father is unable to move as Lawrence reloads and follows the pregnant Sugden into her room. Lawrence is unaware that the pregnant woman has called 999, the number for emergency services in Britain.
He then shot me in the head. I then got out of my side of the bed and I pulled the bolt out of my head.
Why did you pull it out?
I don't know. It was just an instinct to. I just pulled it out and threw it to the floor.
But then he grabbed it and stuck it in his throat.
He came in with a second bolt once he heard that I was moving in the bedroom, and we had a bit of a scuffle on the floor. He pushed the bolt into my neck.
Sugden then tackles Lawrence and miraculously manages to overpower him while he is hampered by the empty crossbow. She runs out of the room. When she finds Gilmer lying in a pool of blood, he tells her to save herself.
You had to get out of there. What were the last words that he said to you?
Be strong, I love you.
And get out to save the baby?
Yeah.
Like the climactic scene in a horror movie, Laura Sugden runs out of the house and down the road, with gaping holes in her neck and head from the crossbow bolts. As she runs, Anthony Lawrence drives past her in his truck, making his escape from the scene of the crime. When Sugden reaches safety at a neighbor's house, she begs the 999 operator not to worry about her, but to send the ambulance to save Shane Gilmer. Little does she know that Gilmer is also on the phone with emergency services, and he is saying exactly the same thing. "Don't worry about me, please look after Laura." Gilmer's last words are recorded on the call. He told the 999 operator, "I need to say something. I love my children. Oh God, I really, really wanted this baby." Even with damage to his liver, kidney, abdomen, and spine, Gilmer fought for his life and lived for more than 3 hours after he was shot. Unfortunately, it took emergency services some time to reach the isolated hamlet of Southburn, and Gilmer died that night. It is possible that had he gotten to the hospital and even 10 minutes sooner, he might have survived his horrific injuries. Laura Sugden was devastated by the loss of her partner.
He's missed every day by me and the rest of his family. It was clear from his final words how much he loved us all, and I hope he knew how much we loved him.
Miraculously, Laura Sugden's unborn child also survived the incident, and Sugden did not have many sleepless nights waiting for Lawrence to be caught. A mere 2 days after the incident, her attacker was found dead in his camper van, apparently from suicide. While Sugden was relieved that Lawrence was no longer on the loose, she wishes she could have killed him herself.
There's no justice. There wouldn't have been any justice if he'd have survived, if he'd have been here. I don't think prison would have been enough. And it certainly would have left me unsettled forever.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think I would have felt something more, you know, if I'd have been able to put that bolt in him at that time.
More details emerged in the days following the attack. Police discovered how Lawrence had managed to get into his neighbor's house, not by breaking a window or slipping through a back door, but by systematically taking apart the wall that separated their attics. Once he had a hole big enough to crawl through, Lawrence had simply crossed over and waited with his loaded crossbow. Shockingly, in the UK there are currently no laws restricting the sale of crossbows. It is possible to simply order this lethal weapon over the internet. Now that some time has passed and she has been able to tell her story, Laura Sugden is fighting to change that.
Today, in loving memory of Shane and to honour our beautiful daughter that he never got to meet, I am launching a campaign to call for legislation governing crossbows to be brought in line with firearm laws. Over the coming weeks, I will be speaking with MPs and the Home Secretary to see what can be done to reform crossbow laws. I'd like to thank my family, friends and legal team for their unwavering support through such a truly harrowing experience.
As of the time that this video was released, Laura Sugden has just started to speak publicly about her terrifying experience and the loss of her partner in the fight to regulate crossbow sales. If there is one bright spot in this story, it's that 4 months after her ordeal, Laura gave birth to a healthy girl whom she named Ella. Sugden says Ella, now 2 years old, closely resembles the father she never got to meet. Sugden describes her life as a struggle to move on after losing the love of her life, but she is determined that nobody will ever again have to experience what she went through the night that she came through her front door and her world changed forever. Thanks for watching Beyond Crime. If you enjoyed this episode and want to support more true crime content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. If you live in the UK and want to support Laura Sugden's fight, you can sign her petition at petition.parliament.uk. The full link is in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon.